All right, today we're going to venture into one of the darkest corners of the internet. We're going to dissect a myth that is so notorious, so terrifying, it says a whole lot more about us than it does about any piece of technology. Let's get right into it. And that right there, that's the perfect place to start. That thought really gets to the heart of this deep-seated fear we have about what's lurking in those hidden, unindexed parts of the web. So yeah, we're heading straight into the so-called abyss, the deep web, to really investigate a concept that's haunted online forums and whispered conversations for years. And that is, of course, the urban legend of the Red Room. So what exactly is this legend? What is it that inspires such a primal, visceral kind of fear? Well, the premise is deceptively simple, but the horror it implies, that's profound. Okay, so here's the core idea. You can think of it like a modern-day snuff film, but with this absolutely terrifying interactive twist. The viewers aren't just passively watching. They're anonymous, paying participants who supposedly use untraceable crypto to literally take part in a live execution. And it's this process that makes the legend feel so chillingly real. It follows this simple, cold, transactional logic. You pay, you watch, and, most disturbingly, you get to vote. That interactive element, that's the crucial, horrifying hook of the entire myth. Which, of course, leads us to the most important question, doesn't it? We all know the legend now, but is any of it real? Is there a single shred of proof that a Red Room has ever actually existed? Well, the first nail in the coffin for this myth, and it's a big one, isn't found in some criminal investigation. No, it's found in a pretty simple technological reality. There is a fundamental glitch in the system. So to really get this, we have to talk about Tor. That's the network that lets people access the deep web anonymously. But here's the thing. Its greatest strength, which is anonymity, is also its biggest weakness when you're talking about live video. It's designed to bounce your connection all over the world, which creates this massive delay, or what we call latency. And this analogy just, man, it hits the nail on the head perfectly. For a Red Room to work, you'd need a smooth, high-definition, real-time video stream so an audience could interact. But the Tor network, it simply wasn't built to handle that kind of gigantic data load. And right here, this is the core conflict. On one hand, the myth requires a stable, real-time, interactive live stream. On the other hand, the reality of the network is extreme lag and super low bandwidth. They are completely incompatible. The very technology a Red Room would need just can't function on the network where it supposedly exists. So if the technology makes it pretty much impossible, what about all those websites out there that claim to be Red Rooms? Well, cybersecurity experts who've actually investigated these sites have consistently found something else entirely. The truth is way less spectacular, but it's still pretty sinister. These sites are a fraud, all of them. They use the dark appeal of the myth to prey on people's morbid curiosity and, more importantly, to get their cryptocurrency. They're basically just elaborate online traps. So what happens when that countdown timer on one of these supposed Red Room sites finally hits 0? Well, in the most common scenario, everything just disappears. Poof, the site goes dark, and it takes all the Bitcoin that people paid to get in right along with it. It's a simple and brutally effective theft. The other common outcome is a classic bait and switch. Instead of a live execution, the site might just redirect you to some pre-recorded video or maybe just a static page after it's already collected all the entrance fees. Either way, the promise is broken and the money is long gone. So let's recap what we know. The key takeaways are crystal clear. The interactive Red Room, as we know it, is an urban legend, and the websites promoting them are just crypto scams, plain and simple. But, and this is a really important but, just because we've debunked this myth doesn't make the dark corners of the internet safe. The Red Room might be fake, but the very real, very terrible horrors you can find online are absolutely not. And, this brings us to the final and maybe the most unsettling question of all. If Red Rooms aren't real, why does this legend have such a powerful, unshakable grip on our imagination? The answer might tell us a lot more about ourselves than it does about the internet. See, the terror of the Red Room isn't really about technology or some secret group of criminals. It's about a deep-seated fear of what human beings are capable of. The myth thrives because, on some level, we find the idea that people would do this believable. The legend isn't a window into some dark, secret corner of the web.
It's a mirror. It reflects a dark potential that we fear exists deep inside human nature itself.
And so we're left with this final question. The Red Room myth hangs on, not because there's any evidence, but because it taps into a fundamental fear. It's a modern folktale that forces us to ask what we truly believe people are capable of doing in the dark when they think no one is watching. So what does that mirror show you?